Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Truth. I'm your host, the one you love the most, Niall Hessen, back with a brand new episode here in The Truth. Back once again with AJ Ponciano and Lucas Hessen. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today? AJ, I'll start first with you.
I'm doing great. To Super Bowl, can't get much better than that.
I mean, it could get better if it was, maybe like the Vikings or the Saints in it, but it is what it is. Chiefs, Eagles, your city. I mean, I guess not necessarily your city, but being a New Orleans Saints fan, you're able to host the Super Bowl. And you guys just hired Kellen Moore. How do you feel about that?
Uh, I mean, I'm back and forth. He's had some signs of showing being a good coach, but I don't know if he can be a good head coach because he's the head coach of the Chargers and wasn't very good there. So he's been better as a coordinator than a head coach. So we'll see how it goes.
Lucas, how you doing today?
Good Super Bowl Sunday, as mentioned, and just ready for spring training to start up. Twins report, I think, on Thursday. Cubs report today, so at least some teams are reporting this week. I'm ready.
So is this the first day that people report?
Yeah, pitchers and catchers for the Cubs, I think, today, and then
Do
other
you know
teams the rest.
why do they do it on different like days? Why don't they all just
I don't
report at
know.
once?
I mean, the Cubs play like the first game on the 22nd, so maybe
Oh,
that's
I
why
guess
people
they're
think it.
in Seoul or whatever, Japan, whatever it is, with against the Dodgers. I think it is, right? That might make sense why they're doing that. Well, yeah. So it's that weird time, or not necessarily weird time, but as we're transitioning from one sport to another, I feel like with football, it's always so long as far as the season's concerned. But Super Bowl Sunday is here today, and then as you mentioned, players are starting to go down for spring training. That's going to start up soon. Before you know it, as you mentioned, at the time of recording, I think like 6 weeks away from that Japan series, 6, 7 weeks away. So we're getting closer to baseball season, which I know is probably amongst some of the best seasons out there. So we got a lot to talk about. We are going to be finishing up this series where we're going to be doing our prospects to watch, or AJ Lucas's prospects to watch for that matter, where we go over each division and then we'll transition to more of that fantasy component as we get closer and closer to that first day. AJ, I'm going to start with you. We're in the NL East today. Go ahead and give me your two prospects to watch for the Miami Marlins.
Yeah, so my first one I think that could make his debut this year is Division De Los Santos. He was originally with or not the Cardinals, with the Diamondbacks. He's traded over just last season at the trade deadline. He's part of that AJ Puck deal where the Diamondbacks got him mid-year. But De Los Santos, I mean, he was one of my favorite prospects with the Diamondbacks, and him coming over to Miami, I think, just gives him an easier pathway to make his debut. He does play first and third, but he marks out more of a first baseman, not great defensively. He's got a good arm, but his field is not the best. Last year at 294, with a 343 on base, had 40 home runs, two triples, 25 doubles, 120 RBIs. Did strike out a lot at 144 with only 34 walks. And he's not going to steal all bases. He only has 13 stolen bases in his minor league career over 438 games, so don't expect much there. But he was on an absolute tear. Again, I will say it was in Reno, and some of the season was spent Double A last year. Reno the ball absolutely flies there. So again, you can put a little asterisk there. Because when he went to Jacksonville in AAA for Miami, his average went down to 240 when it was at 289 for that. But he also had to travel cross country essentially to play in minor leagues. But he still had uh, 12 home runs there in Jacksonville. He had 14 uh, in Reno, and in Double A had 14 there. So at three different levels this season, or three different teams, he had over 10 home runs. Like I said, a lot of extra base hits, a lot of power there. He's someone that I wouldn't be surprised if he was the opening day first baseman, especially if he impresses during camp with spring training starting up. And a guy that I really like for the future is Andres Fowler. He's a 19-year-old prospect. Okay hit tool, good, really good speed and power type combo. He's only been a rookie ball the last 2 years, but like I say, he's still only 19. So far in rookie ball the past 2 years, 292 average. In that time, 7 home runs, 7 triples, 26 doubles, 56 stolen bases, 41 walks to 112 strikeouts, which is not a bad combo, especially for a 19-year-old. Obviously, you'd like that to be a little bit closer, but when you're still in a lot of bases like he is and showing off some decent pop, he has what 40 extra base hits in 105 total games there in rookie ball, so not bad numbers. He's still only 19 years old.
Lucas, any thoughts on those guys? And then give me your Marlins.
I love David Sunday with Santos. I told now to really try to pick him for his dynasty league, which he did, because I'm just a great baseball mind. But for me, I picked two arms. First guy, Hernan knows him, but Adam Major. He's a right-handed pitcher out of Iowa, second round pick in 2022. He was a Padre last year. He only had 8 games in the majors. He went 1-3 with a 7.49 ERA, 33.2 innings, 22 strikeouts. In the minors, numbers don't really pop out at you, but I still think he's got a lot of good stuff. He was 6-7 with a 4.73 ERA, 93 innings and 92 strikeouts, and a little over one WHIP. So the thing there is he has pretty good fastball, sits 94, 96 miles an hour, and he has good secondary pitches, but he's not going to be a big strikeout guy. And I think that he definitely could get touch the majors with the Marlins, especially with just how bad of a team they are this year, especially on the offensive side. But I mean, they have guys like Gary Perez in front of them, but I think he'll definitely be a guy to watch. And then guy more for the future is Thomas White, 2023 first round pick. I remember seeing like YouTube videos of him pitching, and when he was like 12, he was supposed to be really good, and he has been that so far for the Marlins. 21 games last year, 6-4 with 2.81 ERA, 96 innings pitched, but 120 strikeouts. This is in the Midwest League, which is not a terrible league by any means, and I think that he was playing in Beloit, so there's no like crazy elevation or anything there, but he had really good numbers for a prep arm. I think the concern with being a high school arm is injuries, but so far he's avoided that, and I think that he could really make a rise to the minor league system this year and of course next year too.
All right, AJ, the Nationals.
Yeah, I gotta go with Robert Hassel the third. He was part of that Juan Soto trade a few years back with the Padres. Him and James Wood are like two of the centerpieces part of that trade. And I really like Robert Hassel. He's 23 years old now, so he's not older, but I mean he's older for when you look at there's 16-year-olds in the minor league system. But AAA last year went through three different levels. Started off an A+ ball. I believe he started the year with an injury, so they started him off at a lower level. Spent some time at AA, and then finished the year in AAA. 241 average there, 319 on base. I just still really believe in him. His numbers honestly have gone downhill since his first year in the minors. Granted, he's gone up in levels, so it kind of evens out, but he's also had some injuries. Only played 85 games last year. Really good speed guy. Has shown a little bit of potential. Pop has 2 seasons of over 10 home runs. His first 2 years also, he's had basically 30 to 40 extra base hits. The last couple of years, like I said, some injuries has held him back. He's sticking around like 20 to 30 extra base hits a season. Been at 15 stolen bases the last 2 seasons. But what really excited me was how well he played during the Arizona Fall League this past year. In 22 games, 281 average, 360 on base, 5 stolen bags, 8 walks, 22 Ks. He had 4 home runs, 1 triple, 7 doubles, 19 RBIs within that time. 17 runs. I mean, he played really well during the Arizona Fall League, and this isn't just a league with like random prospects. These are some of the top prospects from every team, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do. I think it's going to be the potential of Robert Hassel, Dylan Cruz, and James Wood being in that outfield for years to come. And the next guy I'm going to go with is also another guy part of that Juan Soto trade from with the Padres, and I'm going to go with Jarlin Susana. Just an absolute flamethrower, and also just one of those prospects where he's just built to be like a really good relief pitcher. I don't know if he's able to stay as a starter. He's been a starter these last so far in his career. But last year, 4-10 record with a 4.34 ERA, 103 and two-thirds innings with 157 strikeouts to only 48 walks. It's been solid. I mean, like I said, he's a flamethrower. He has a really elite fastball and slider. His fastball grades out as a 70, and his slider grades out as a 60. And he's still only 20 years old, 6'6", 235. Like I said, like this is a guy that I expect to be more of like a closer role, more of a bullpen guy. But I wouldn't be surprised if he turns into one of those more elite bullpen closers in the future.
Okay, Lucas, your Nationals players.
Yeah, for me, first guy I have is Brady House, 2021 first round pick. So he's kind of been around a while. But last year he had 241, 19 bombs, 21 doubles, 66 RBIs. So good amount of extra base hits there. Played in the Futures game, I think it was last year, and he had a pretty like decent performance. I mean, the Futures game you only get a couple at bats, but in his career, 1,100 at bats, hitting 274 with 38 bombs and 156 RBIs. This is a corner infielder. He's a third baseman by trade, so you might want to see those power numbers up a little bit. But I think that he could definitely make an impact and knock on the door this year. And the second guy, 2024 first round pick, Kalen Lomavida. He's Hawaiian, so I'm not totally sure how to pronounce his name, but he's a catcher. He only had 61 ABs this year, and he hit 213 with a 556 OPS. But again, you can't really take anything from those numbers just because he's like only 60 at bats. So, but in college, I mean, he hit 38 home runs, same as House did, over 150 RBIs and 30 doubles, and only 700 at bats. So I think that he really has a good chance of making an impact, not necessarily this year, though he's a college bat out of Cal Berkeley. But I think Keibert Ruiz, he's definitely a guy that the Nationals like, but I think Loma Vida, I don't think there's a lot behind Ruiz. So I think he definitely can make an impact maybe next year or even then this year, depending on how the season goes.
AJ, the Mets.
Yeah, so the guy I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him make his debut at some point is Brandon Sprott for the Mets. Originally, he was a Florida Gator in college. He's 24 years old, was a second round pick in 2023. Last year, he went from A+ ball all the way up to AAA. Did have some struggles in his 7 starts in AAA, had his ERA at 7.53, but on the season as a whole, 7-4 record with a 3.4 ERA. In 24 games, 116 and a third innings with 131 Ks, 42 walks there in that time. Did give up 14 home runs, but only had a 210 average against him, a 1.11 whip. I mean, he shows an elite fastball, slider, changeup trio of pitches. Does flash a cutter and an okay curveball, but like I say, he's their number one pitching prospect. He's actually the number one overall prospect. And this is a Mets team that wants to compete, especially this year, in the next couple of years. And Sprout's one of those guys that I wouldn't be surprised. We've seen them push pitchers up their minor league systems pretty quickly to get him to the major leagues. This is a guy that is 24 years old. He has experience. He's pitched at Florida for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like one of those top guys in the second half of the season once he makes his debut. And second, I'm going to go with Jeremy Rodriguez. Super young kid. He's only 18 years old, only playing rookie ball. He's a middle infielder, 6 foot, 170, really good frame to him. I mean, he grades out very well. I think the only thing that he has below 50 is his power, which is not surprising because he's only 18 years old at 170 pounds. 55 hit, 50 run, 55 arm, 50 fielding. So far in rookie ball the past 2 years, in 101 games, hit a 287, 382 on base, 36 stolen bags, 6 home runs, 7 triples, 20 doubles. One of the things that I've talked about in other shows, I love when guys are able to walk and strike out at a very similar rate. Has 54 walks, only 68 strikeouts, so good numbers there. Good amount of hits with that time also. He's just shown really good elite tools. He's a lefty bat as well. Obviously, he's still super young. He probably won't make his debut for another 3-4 years. But he's someone I'm very excited to watch his progression.
Lucas, your Mets players.
Yeah, their system doesn't really like extremely excite me, so I wasn't like there were 2 guys that really stood out to me, but 2 I picked were both college teammates at Tennessee. First guy, Blade Tidwell, he's a right-handed pitcher, 2022 second round pick. They really like him. I mean, 26 games. He was 3-13, which is, I mean, that's just record is, but 4.86 ERA. He pitched 122 innings, which I think is a lot of innings, and 121 strikeouts. So pretty average numbers there. 56 career games though, but Tidwell is someone I mentioned they really like. I mean, his fastball will sit 94, 95, and can even touch up to 98. He has a really good slider. And I think the thing with him is he just has a lot of movement naturally, even as a right-handed pitcher, but I think he can definitely make an impact. And then the second guy, again, his teammate, he was a first-round pick in 22, but Drew Gilbert, he's definitely struggled a little bit compared to Tidwell in terms of like his stock has fallen a little bit, but I still believe in him. He only hit 205 with 10 home runs and 33 RBIs and a 684 OPS, but he also only had 229 at-bats. He really has not had that many at-bats in his career because of injuries. Last year he missed 3 months, so that's really going to hinder his development, not only at the immediate impact, but in terms of the long term. And then the year before, he also was injured. So I think that Gilbert can definitely play a role. I mean, the Mets, we know, are spending like crazy. They just got Juan Soto. So I think that there might be a little bit of clog in the outfield positions, but I think if Drew Gilbert really gets a full chance in the minor leagues and is not injured, which I know you can't control, I think he definitely is going to shine and really rise upon people's boards again.
AJ, the Braves.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with a guy who made his debut last year and struggled a good amount, but Nacho Alvarez Jr. Only hit 100, had 100 batting average, went 3 for 30 with 1 run, 10 strikeouts within the 8 game span that he did play. But his minor league numbers has just been consistent every year. He hits 248, 284 basically every season. At least last year in 2023 he did, and then 2022 he hit 287. Good on base guy, right around 400 on the career. Last year, 10 home runs, two triples, 15 doubles, 26 stolen bases. I mean, he's a guy who flew underneath the radar. He was also a JUCO guy who was drafted out of JUCO from California in the 5th round. I mean, he's been a solid player. He's flown under the radar for most of his career. Like I said, last year did make his debut, and I think that he will stick there at shortstop. Really good defender there, and I don't think they really want to keep on starting Orlando Arcia there. I mean, they've had troubles between trying to get Vaughn Grisham to be the starter for a while before they traded him. Basically, since Dansby Swanson left for the Cubs, it's been kind of a revolving door there at shortstop, and I think Alvarez Jr. could definitely stick there at some point in his career. I just don't know exactly how well he's going to play this year, just from the signs that he's shown last year being called up mid-year or towards the end of the year in the 8 game stretch that he was only going 3 for 30. And then guy for the future, their pitching prospects. I mean, I like basically all of them, but one I think a little bit lower down on the radar is going to be J.R. Ritchie. Last year, I would say is his breakout year. Went from rookie ball to A+ ball. 2-5 record with a 2.90 ERA in 12 games, 49 and 2/3 of an innings, 56 Ks, only a 2.14 batting average against him. He did give up 6 bombs within that time, but I will say, basically having 50 innings on the year for the first time in his career, he was pretty solid, a sub-3 ERA. I think injuries has been one of his big things. I mean, he only made 4 appearances in 2023, throwing 13 and a third innings there. And then 2022, the year he was drafted, I believe drafted out of high school, only had 14 and a third innings in 5 outings with a 1.88 ERA. So I think injuries, if I remember correctly, is what's been holding him back the last couple of years. But this year seems like his most healthiest year up to this point. He's shown a lot of potential, and he's still decently younger for pitching prospects. I mean, he's 21. He's a guy I'd expect probably in 2 years, and he's like 23, maybe 24 to make his debut.
Lucas, your Braves players.
Yeah, for me, I picked a guy who's really knocking on the door, and then one young dude. So first guy's Jake Baldwin. He's a catcher, 2022 third-round pick. This year he hit 276 with 16 home runs and 88 RBIs with a 793 OPS. And at AAA, he did have an OPS over 800, which is something you like to see, especially from the catcher position, which is kind of a lot of the times, I think the conception that it's a defensive position, which definitely is, but I think that offense is definitely a big role. And I think there's definitely a place for him. Sean Murphy's the number one. I think the backup's Chadwick Tromp, but I'm not sure. I don't even know if he's like still anything, but that's what I think it is. So I think he definitely is better than Chadwick Tromp if he can keep playing like this. And next guy I got Arizona guy Cam Caminiti, Saguaro High School, son of Ken Caminiti, left-handed pitcher. He was a first-round pick, or maybe end of first round, early second round. At high school, he had 9 wins, 52.2 innings, and 119 strikeouts, which is just ridiculous. This is against like good high school competition as well. 0.93 ERA, and the number that really stood out was a 108 opponent batting average. That's just ridiculous. I mean, as a prep arm, I think maybe you could compare him to a guy like Thomas White. Maybe not as highly acclaimed, but I think as a left-handed pitcher, he definitely has the stuff. He also hit pretty well, but I don't think he's not going to be marketed as a two-way guy. But I think Caminiti is a great piece to have in the lower minor system, and hopefully he can make his way up to the majors in the next 2 or 3 years.
And last but not least, AJ, the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, a guy who I 100% would bet money on that he's going to break camp, Andrew Painter. We haven't seen him pitch in basically 2 years because of Tommy John, but has one of the most elite fastballs in the MLB. I think scouts graded him as having the best fastball in the entire minor league system. But in 2022, the last time he pitched fully, 6-2 record with a 1.56 ERA in 22 starts, 103 and 2/3 innings with 155 Ks, with a 181 batting average against him, with a WHIP at .89, which was great because this was when he was a 19-year-old, maybe just turned 20. He's 21 years old now, and that was back in 2022 is the last time we saw him pitch in the minor league season. We did see him in the Arizona Fall League this past after the season, this past last year, basically. Went 2-0 in that time, made 6 starts, 15 and 2/3 innings, 18 strikeouts with a 2.30 ERA, only 1 home run, 4 earned runs, 18 strikeouts, like I said, to only 4 walks. I mean, he was great within the Arizona Fall League, which was really good to see because this is the first time we got to see him be back with the actually throwing in game since 2022, and he really showed out. He basically picked up where he left off, facing elite competition. Because where he was pitching in 2022, the highest level he got was AA for 5 starts. Outside of that, he hasn't seen that the competition, hasn't pitched against AAA competition, AA competition, and that's what he was seeing in the Arizona Fall League. And this is a guy that people were talking about him breaking camp in 2023 before he got injured. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks camp with the Phillies this past year or for this next season. And then lastly, I'm going to go with Eduardo Tate. He's a catcher for the Phillies, 18 years old, up to single A last year. Hit .302 with a .356 on base, 11 home runs, 1 triple, 18 doubles, 5 stolen bags, 73 RBIs, 42 runs with that time. Had an .842 OPS, which was great there in only 79 games. So far in his minor league career, he's just been able to get extra base hits. He has 48 extra base hits in 123 games, which is great. 9 stolen bags. It doesn't get walk a lot, but he also doesn't strike out a lot. Only 95 strikeouts, 33 walks, over 100 RBIs within that time. He's just been able to hit whenever he's gotten the opportunity. Lefty bat. Just someone, like I said, like probably three years down the road, I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes the new starter there, taking over for Romuto.
And Lucas, your Phillies.
Yeah, first guy, same as AJ, Andrew Painter. You just can't really ignore I think he's one of the best pitching prospects of the game. Just an electric fastball, and I think it really does suck that those are the guys. I mean, it sucks injury for everybody, but he's a guy that gets injured. I think he's definitely going to be interesting. I'm not going to really add anything because he basically covered everything. So, guy I had was Gabriel Rincones Jr. I kind of picked him just because I liked when I saw him in the Arizona Fall League. I mean, he hit an absolute bomb to right field when I watched this game. 2022 third round pick. Numbers aren't amazing, but he did have an injury shortened season. He hit .252 with 11 home runs, 32 RBIs, and 23 stolen bases. I think the 23 stolen bases is interesting because he only has a 30 run tool. I mean, a 55 power tool, 50 hit tool, 50 arm, 45 field, 45 overall. So I think that the general consensus is, as an outfielder, I think the defense might hurt him a little bit. So you can maybe see him as like a DH kind of role. But he doesn't really have a place right now, especially with just how the Phillies are constructed as a team. But I think he's definitely a name to watch. 74 strikeouts, 34 walks, so nothing crazy there. But again, he did have injury. So I think this is a guy that I would also love to see play a full season just because of his raw power numbers and how he's going to play and how he's going to develop defensively so he can kind of make a name for himself and hopefully get a spot with the big league club.
Well, there you have it, the NL East Division. Thank you guys, as always, for listening to another episode here on The Truth. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you follow The Truth on Twitter, TheTruthAs1, to stay up to date with the latest information regarding The Truth, including podcast dates, podcast uploads, and other important information you don't want to miss. Make sure you guys also follow The Truth on Instagram and TikTok at the.tt.truth. Are you looking to find a drink that offers peak hydration, raises your energy levels, speeds up your recovery, and keeps your mind sharp through focus and memory? Look no further than Acid Rainwater. I'm excited to partner with Bloodline Sports AZ and Acid Rainwater, which focuses on peak hydration and productivity, while also maintaining an ecosystem-friendly product. Use code HESSON15, that's HESSON 15 for 15% off every purchase. As always, I'm your host, the one you love the most, Niall Hesson, joined once again by Lucas Hesson and AJ Ponciano. Take care and good night.